Okay, so just kind of watching here, Amlex popping up here a little bit. Go ahead and move this over here a little bit different. That's the daily. Let's go to the 5-minute. Here we are. Okay, so it's boom bouncing back up. I really like the stock. I took stock in it. I didn't mess around with the options. It's too widely spread. Right, so again, Fed day today. Fed announcement at 2. Jay Powell speaking at 2:30 with his news conference. Market's going to be mostly in a wait and see position up to then. Again, we just took some I took some AMX here. I'm sorry, AMLX, but I bought shares on AMLX. We took a beautiful profit this morning in our Lunar. Get in for $1.55, get out for $2.25. That was a 45% profit, pretty nice. So again, just kind of watching here. I did take some AMLX shares at around 680. They've got a nice upside on those. Again, if I show you this AMLX chart again on TC2000, you can see the massive gap that this thing has got. And again, I've got some resistance levels here at 1041 and 1178. Those go way back. They go back here to some higher volume back here in 2022. Again, we're out of Lunar. It's still right about what we get for it. So. Welcome to the folks joining us through the YouTube. Again, this is our SPY Super System chart right here. We have indicators on here from the SPY Super System. It used to be called Compass. Key ones here is this multiple time frame momentum, current time frame momentum. These are really critical. And the SPY Super System that you'll hear is talking about, which is also a strategy that we use with the Compass, with the SPY Super System software. We focus on this here, the current time frame momentum. What we're looking for is this to be green or blue, and switching from yellow or red, which is bearish, to green or blue for bullish, and we look for breaks above the VWAP right here, this pink line. We want to get in right at the pink line, or the 15, which is this little thin green line. Those are the two support resistance levels we use to enter into SPY Super System trades, which you can use for the SPYs, the Qs, or the IWM. The SPY just moving just sideways right now. And the market's going to be really likely to be quiet between now and 2 o'clock. Fed report at 2 o'clock. So we'll see what happens. IWM has been very choppy. The Qs and the SPY much more consistent today so far. But right now, just very, very slow market moving sideways. IONQ, a nice long setup. I'm going to wait till after the Fed before I take any more swing type trades. I did take AMLX, but I took shares in this. I took shares in AMLX. Really flat here now in the market. Look at this SPY, just tiny little candles moving sideways. Qs, same thing. IWM a little bit more of a little bit more volatility. But this is just very flat. Again, this is not unusual going into the Fed at 2 o'clock. We get about 2.5 hours till the Fed. The market's gonna just kind of be waiting. IONQ, I really like IONQ, but I'm not going to take anything till after the Fed. If you've been following DJT, the DJT stock, big move up here in the last few days, and then getting absolutely pounded today, down 20%. Get up as high as a little over $53. Right now it's trading at $28.50. Tesla, I got Tesla. I'm just watching Tesla. It's a nice setup on Tesla. Just kind of moving right along the 15 EMA here. Still yellow here, but looking for a little bounce out of here. Again, the market's going to be relatively flat because of the Fed, but Tesla's been set up pretty nicely. The daily chart is starting to look really good on Tesla, and I got resistance up around 313 right now on Tesla. So about $16 higher. This is a nice breakout on the daily chart. Notice the current time frame, the multiple time frame momentum is going yellow here right now, but the current time frame just went blue. See if we get any questions. Well, Tesla might have resistance at 300 shy. I mean, it because it's a round number, it could have resistance at 300. But I don't see any high volume candlesticks at 300. I mean, it's basically a price that let me just see if I can find any other ones. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of trading activity, high volume trading activity inside the 278 up to 313, but I don't see any particular resistance levels around 300. I see a potential one around 303, but I think that there's just so much trading inside of there that I'm going to go with the 313. And a minor one at 301, but pretty minor. A lot of these are high volume, but they chop up and down in there. There's a lot of choppiness. Nothing that I see that's a standout resistance level. But 300, sure, it's a round price as well. So. You know, I'm actually not real anxious to get into much of anything right till after the Fed, because if it pulls back on me, then I'm kind of forced to stick with it through the Fed, or take a loss. So. Here comes Ruth. Here comes Ruthie. You got some bags in there? No? Okay. These just been sitting there. It's gone out or anything?
It was pouring raining in West Baton.
Yeah, it's the sections of it that's really.
I'm tired.
Hey buddy, whoa, 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 whoa.
I think you can go out. It's a little lighter now.
Okay.
Oh, go outside. You can go outside. Don't you have to go pee pee? Oh, my little boy.
Oh, paper. Paper towels. There he goes. Wait a minute. All right, had to step away for just a minute. Back here now, watching Tesla just kind of slide sideways here. SPY also moving sideways. Again, slow market here coming up to the Fed at 2 o'clock. Not likely to be a huge amount of volatility between now and then. Hello, Dr. No. YouTube live feed. Coming in from all directions. SPY moving up again. I do like Tesla, but you know, I don't want to take it long term, but I would take it as just a quick intraday trade here right now, just to try to get a couple of dollars out of it. After that, I'll look at it for a little bit longer. that would, get me out around the 300 level. Again, for the folks watching on YouTube, just so you know what we're looking at here, this is it used to be called the compass system, called switching to the SPY super system. This is going to be the SPY super system indicators, and the SPY super system is also a methodology we use to trade the SPY, the Qs, and the IWM off of this current time frame momentum. Notice it turned blue right here. This is bearish, this is bullish, this is giving us some insight into the fact that the institutions switch from selling to buying. This is multi-time frame momentum. I don't use it for the SPY super system methodology, but I do use it for all the other trades that we take that could be longer term day trades or swing trades. This is a long-term trend, and this is a derivation of money flow right here. Pink line VWAP, green line right here, a little thin one, that's the 15 EMA, and these pink arrows are what's called pop signals, or pop out of the box signals, and they indicate a compression break. Blue to the downside, and pink to the upside. And just watching here, I do like Tesla, but again, I don't want to hold too much through the. I've got a few positions on it. I don't want to hold too much through the Fed. I want to wait till after the Fed. Fed at 2 o'clock today with the announcement, and then Jay Powell at 2:30 with a news conference. Both of those things could be create some volatility. The 2 o'clock announcement is likely to be a 1/4 point cut at 25 basis points. If that's what it does, that's fairly expected. But the news conference could give us a little bit of volatility. 2:30. Alright, got a few questions here. None. Is the candle at 723 for Tesla not enough volume to be considered strong resistance in 723? I gotta go back and look at the daily chart on it. July 23rd of 23. No, it's not. $7.19. No, it is not either. All right, again, watching Tesla here. Just popped up on the options that squeezed out about $2 on them. The price actions wants you to go take a walk. Tell the Fed, yeah, listen, nothing wrong with that, to tell you the truth. Got Meta on, Reddit on. Yeah, you're right, Shai. I mean, that the waiting for the Fed is probably the best thing to do. If the market continues up after that, then that's bullish. The market's very, very bullish here. Listen, this is really strong. I mean, we're gonna obviously, it's just not gonna keep going up forever, but it's gonna go up some. Again, I just squeezed out some money out of Tesla, but I'm out of it now. Couple bucks. It's a nice setup here, coming off the 15. We don't have any. I didn't have any. Went green here, then went to yellow. But I was just playing the price action off of it. SPY moving sideways. You know, coming up into lunch, this is not unexpected at all. Nvidia pulled back a little bit. Still up nicely today, though, up $2.50, about at 1.6%. Regeneron jumping around between about 821 and about 815, so we need a little bit of pullback in Regeneron. AMLX pulled back a little bit since I bought it. I still like it. Get some pullback to the 8 or so. I may actually add some more. All right, see if we have any more questions. Dan pointing out Moderna has relative weakness after earnings. Actually, earnings are pretty good, but it's pulling back here this morning. It's actually gapped up this morning, and now it's really dropping pretty fast. It's still this is even after earnings. This is still a short setup. It's still a short setup. I'm looking at a weekly ATM in Illumina, and I hesitate to do it here before the Fed, but the setup's pretty nice on ILMN for a potential weekly ATM. I'd be selling the 155 calls for next week and going out to the middle of January for the 150. Selling the 155 puts and buying the 150 puts for January. So next week's 155 puts selling, buying January 150 puts. That will be the setup. Again, Moderna's pretty weak after earnings, gapped up this morning, pulling down. Still a bearish setup on Moderna. Regeneron bouncing a little bit, but still a bearish setup. We just need to move down today or tomorrow. Saw you like the team, especially can get into the gap for February earnings. TEAM. Yeah, it's a nice, TEAM is a nice setup. Software company. Yeah, earnings not till 2/6. Yeah, it's a nice breakout here. This is pretty nice. Pretty nice move here. Yeah, there is a gap in there from last February. Runs up to about 248. And it's in the gap right now. It looks like the gap is at 231.56. So it's just entering the gap right now. So you want to make sure it stays over that 231.56 on the close today. But yeah, that's a nice setup for team. I like team. Again, I'm a little hesitant to put much on right now because of the Fed. So I'm waiting for most of these. I did take some quick couple buck profits in Tesla off of this bounce right here off of the 15. But again, I'm not anxious to stay in much at all right now. Team's a nice look though on that one. Saw very nice. Again, for anybody on YouTube, this is what's called the SPY Super System software. This is set up here on the Thinkorswim platform. We use the SPY Super System to find SPY Super System trades, which are for the SPYs, the Qs, and the IWM. We're basically looking at the current time frame momentum right here. Green and blue are bullish, red and yellow are bearish. We're looking for a stock to switch from bearish to bullish or be bullish, and then we're looking for a break off of either the 15 EMA right here. The SPY Super System is really important that you get in right at the support level for the longs or right at the resistance level for a short. So this is the VWAP, that's one of the support levels, and this is the 15 EMA, this is another one we use. So you want to use one of those two to enter into the trade, and if it breaks below it, then you get out, so your downside risk is very limited. The rest of this is multiple time frame momentum, this is long-term trend, this is a derivation of money flow right here. And these pop signals right here, these pink arrows, these will pop out of the box, those tells you the stock is breaking compression. Really a nice piece of software, to let you know whether the institutions are in the trade or not, which is critical to being consistently profitable, is trading with the institutions. Tesla approaching the 300 level. Again, I'm not in it right now. I took some profits in it. It's a pretty small candle, so if you're trading this like on a SPY Super System, you're going to have to be pretty passive in your targets. Maybe 20 cents, maybe 30 cents at the most on these right now, up until the Fed gets going at 2 o'clock. I made a note on that team, saw that. I like that one. About 8 minutes to 12 right now. So, about a little over 2 hours to the Fed. I appreciate everybody coming on the YouTube feed. Again, I have we have two different services. This is the options room right here that we use the SPY Super System software on, and hey, we use the SPY Super System to trade intraday, very quick, off the 5-minute candles. The rest of our trades are all based on daily charts. We want to only trade long on bullish daily charts and only shorts on bearish daily charts. And then we use the 5-minute chart to try to find a decent entry into the position we take. And again, we're having a good month in October. 85% or 84% win rate. 2,000 went into each trade, made a little over 4,700. So pretty good. And the SPY Super System had a 89% win rate, and a little over 2,000 into trade produced about 4,500. So the the SPY Super System totals are not included in the room totals. And then I have an alert service that you can get on, that we send out these high probability trades on alert, so you don't have to be in the room or even on a computer to get the information to trade. All right, back to looking at the market, but again, I'm not expecting a huge amount of movement here until after the Fed, but the SPY is grinding up pretty nicely. And so is the Qs. IWM been a little bit more volatile. Took a nice profit this morning in Lunar, LUNR. Had that on for 3 weeks or so. Took a nice 45% profit in that one. And I did add some AMLX shares. It's down a little bit on it right now. I got them at 680. It's trading at 658, but it's a really nice setup for a gap fill. Generon bouncing up to 828 right now, so going against us, but again, I'm gonna stay in this one. Nvidia up about $2.60 right now. All right, I'm going to step away for just a minute, be right back. Just kind of, again, it's a very slow market right now. With the Fed coming up at 2 o'clock, I don't want to take too much risks. SPY moving up pretty nicely. That's actually a pretty decent SPY Super System entry right there. As it went blue, that's a pretty nice entry. But again, these are not big moves, but that's you can squeeze out a little bit of profit out of them if you want to trade them. Just make sure you get in right at the 15 EMA. Don't chase it. You don't want to be taking it up here. You want to take it down here. Either right there or right there. Okay, be back in just a bit. All right, back, had to step away for a minute. Not missing much. SPY, nice little pop. Again, you got to be really, really nimble today until after the Fed on these SPY moves. You're not likely to get a continuation move to the upside or to the downside. A lot of chop. So if the key is to get in right at the SPY, at the VWAP, or right at the 15. So you have really very limited downside risk in any of those trades. Tesla went right to about 300 and stopped. Pretty good resistance right there, 299.67. Again, I got a resistance now at 301 and then 313. Again, there's AMLX pulling down now, starting to bounce a little bit. Tesla with a nice little move up here. I took about $2 off of this bounce right here. But I'm not going to mess around with it right now until after the Fed. Nice little bounce in the SPY here. So again, we're just kind of in a wait and see method mode right here as the Fed comes up at 2 o'clock. SPY just put in another new all-time high right there. Qs did it back here just a little bit ago. But nice little day. Tesla doing all right, moving sideways. Again, I'm basically in a wait and see mode here. IWM a little bit choppier than the SPY or the Qs. Let's see if we get any questions. There. All right. See you on YouTube. And I like this Illumina for a weekly ATM. Actually took a small position in it before the Fed, then I'll take a look at it after that. Again, for the weekly ATM for ILM, I'd be selling next week's 155 puts and buying the January 150 puts. That would create the weekly ATM to be basically selling puts every week against this thing. The premium's pretty good on it. It's $3 and something cents for the 155 puts for next week. Big jump in here right now. about 12:18. We'll keep the YouTube live until about 12:30, and then we'll close it down so I can go get some lunch. Alumina really jumping up here nicely. IONQ is also a nice setup for a long. And again, I took some Amlex. I got shares of this, so I'm not particularly concerned about the time I have to keep it. I just wanted to stay inside the gap. Big gap in Amlex. The ATM trade, Dan, it's on ILMN. Show it up here. Sell next week's 155 puts, and buy the January. Let me look the date on it. January 17th, 150 puts. So you're selling the alumina 155 puts for 11:15 next Friday, and buying the 150 puts for January 17th. Gives yourself 2 solid months to sell weekly puts against this thing if it gives us that opportunity. It cost me 3.25 debit to do that, and it's about 355 right now, but it's still pretty good. The alumina options, 1 week of alumina options will cover the whole cost of it. Do I set alerts on stocks, or make watch lists and just watch them? Well, both. I do set alerts. If I get a stock that I really like, I'll set an alert on it for a breakout level or a support level where I'm going to get a bounce off of it. And in my TC2000, my watch list is like 1,000 stocks, and I'm basically have a TC2000 scan that I use. It's kind of a matrix scan. I have multiple scans, conditions that I identify on TC2000, so I can go in and look at. Now these scans over here. This is regular relative strength, relative weakness. This is for new yearly highs over down here. So I have those 3 running because I'm very interested in relative strength and relative weakness scans. But my TC2000 scan is a fairly, I'll show you what it looks like. I guess it's fairly complicated. It's taken me Musho time. I gotta get this moved. All right, so just bear with me just a second, just so you can see this. All right, so this is a TC2000 scan I have. All right, so these are my stock symbols here. These are all scan results over here for the scan. Let me just miniaturize that for a bit. All right, so basically what I've got, it doesn't even fit on a page, but all of these things tell me something about the stock. Percentage change, net change, volume buzz, that's how much volume there is over normal. And each one of these is a scan condition that I've got. So when you get a check mark on there, if I'm looking, for example, stocks that have volume surges today, If I go here and run that up, all these stocks have volume surges today. And I would just click on those and they would pop up on my chart. Top one right there is IONQ, that's why I've been looking at it. Under Armour and others, and a lot of these are earning stocks. So what I'm looking for is, this is relative strength. You see this got relative strength and it's got a high volume today. So that's a nice combination right there. All right, new low of day right here with big volume. That's going to show me some weakness. So that's what I do. It's taken me about 12 years to put this thing, to get all these scans the way I want them to be. But I just want to share you and show what I use. And I do set alerts on stocks all the time. Most of my alerts are actually, well, most of them on the daily. I do set some 5-minute alerts sometimes, but if it's that close, usually I'm just going to watch it. There's Tesla moving sideways, and SPY just kind of drifting here. Again, nothing big's going to happen until 2 o'clock. And again, I do like the weekly ATM on ILMN. 155, seller 155 puts for next week. By the January 17th, 150 puts. I know that scan looks a little, it used to be with 2C2000, you used to have to run scans individually and I'd have to have like 10 individual scans going. But what you can do is you can set the scans and then you can put the results of the scan across that matrix like that. And then you can look for specific conditions. It makes it pretty helpful. It's pretty helpful for me. And then I'm using these all the time as well. So you notice INQ right up here on the top is relative strength. It's really a good setup. And it's the daily chart's beautiful too. It's breaking out right now, so. Warner Brothers popping up here, but notice how it's pulled down. So this is relative strength in this period right here, but not for the day so far. In this, I have these cascading scan. You can also use a cascading scan. Will also work for daily. I have see the cascading down daily and cascading up daily. That's looking at the daily chart. I do that mostly if I'm looking to take on some swings. Generon going against us here this morning, bounced up about $15, which is nothing for Regeneron. It's going to have to pull back a lot today or tomorrow for us to get any profits out of that, but I'm going to hold it. It's still bearish on the daily chart. Again, just kind of watching the market. Gonna get lunch here in a couple minutes, and watching the SPY grind up, putting in new all-time highs, just very slowly grinding up. Triple Qs, triple Qs as well. Again, waiting on the Fed today. 2 o'clock for the Fed. And then Jay Powell does a speech at 2:30, a news conference. That's going to have some impact on the market as well. So I don't want to be too involved in the market. I've got several positions on, which I'm happy with. There's IONQ right there. Really nice setup on IONQ. And again, I like ILMN for a weekly ATM setup. If you don't know what that is, I can't really go into it in detail here. I have if you're in my room or my alert service, I have a webinar on that, training video on it. But it's basically allows us to sell puts against the stock week after week after week while holding a longer term put in time to protect ourselves. It's a nice way to pull in premium week after week. All right, let me just check here. We see any other questions? Okay, everybody wants me to repeat. Your IRA account is not approved for spreads, Gary. Any suggestions for trading things like Regeneron? You really need. You should be able to trade spreads. You just have to call the brokers and get approved for it. You should be able to trade spreads. Spreads they're a defined risk. They're certainly no riskier than taking straight calls and straight puts. But you got to go in and fill out your whatever documents, paperwork they have on it. Anthony, I'm looking for an update on the profit or loss on this trade as it sits right now. You think you have an inaccurate accounting with IBK? Where I tell you where Regeneron sits right now, well, it's going to be it's going to be down quite a bit right now. Let me look where Regeneron is. Right now it says midpoint right now is 58 cents. But it's been jumping all over the place, and it's that I don't worry about it on a minute to minute or 5 minute basis. I want to see where we are at the end of the day. As long as the stock stays bearish, I'm going to stay in it. But it's showing we paid about 205, so it's down about $1.50 right now on Regeneron. Okay, so to go into a little more detail on the weekly ATM trade, there's quite a few questions on that on Illumina. First of all, you need to, if you don't know how to do a weekly ATM or what the strategy is and what the criteria is behind it, don't take it. Watch my video on weekly ATMs. I have a video out there on how to trade weekly ATMs. So you don't want to trade something that you don't understand. Okay. I'm gonna elaborate on it right now. AJ, can I write it down? Do you understand how to do weekly ATMs? You know how to do these, AJ? Because it's really important. I don't want to really put it out here yet because I want to see what the Fed does before I stick to it too much. Robert, what's the reason behind having a debit spread as opposed to reversing it as a credit spread? You'd be doing a call credit spread on the thing. But they're two different strategies. I mean, they're both a call credit spread and a put debit spread are both bearish strategies. But what I'm looking for is I don't want to be too out too long term on any kind of short positions. So Regeneron was just a put debit spread expiring this week. It's a short position on it, being short for a short period of time. I don't want to be out, to do a call credit spread, which would have to go out 2 or 3 weeks to get any kind of decent premium on it. So then I'm putting a lot more risk on the trade if I go out to do that. So that's why I'm doing it as I did. All right, so you're at 42. Is that concerning? No, it doesn't concern me at all, Anthony. The spreads on the options are a mile wide on Regeneron, so it's going to be all over the place. I mean, I told you what it was when I looked at it. It's probably going to change in a couple minutes after that. Right now it's at 48 cents. So they're all over the place. All right, so let's look at the Illumina chart, the chart for Illumina for doing a weekly ATM. All right. So what you're looking for a weekly ATM is you're looking for a stock that's neutral to bullish, basically bullish. You want it to stay neutral. You see how this has been moving sideways? This is what you're looking for. It's bullish, but it's chopping around. What we're looking for is to stay somewhere around 155 to 150 to 160 somewhere each week. So this is the kind of setup I'm looking for, a fairly flat stock that's riding right near the 8. I don't have any big moves up here, big moves down. There's not a lot of gaps in this thing. It's a pretty decent stock for trading a weekly ATM. And I only may keep it 2 weeks, I don't know. So what you're doing is you're looking at it at 154.87. So I'm selling next week's 155 put. All right. I'm actually, these puts are in the money. So I'm selling a 155 put, looking for the stock to move up through 155. The faster it moves up, or the more it moves up through 155, those puts that I sold are going to go down in value, and I can buy them back cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. But to create the spread, I have to go out to January 17th, and I have to buy the 150 put. So I've got a 150 put that I'm buying. So that's protecting me in case this stock reverses and has to head down. I can buy back the put that I sold, 155, and hold the 150 put for a downside move and make profits on the downside if it reverses on me. So it does two things for you. It gives you protection to the downside, and it also reduces your margin tremendously. If you were selling 155 puts against this with no spread, then you're going to be on the hook for a cash secured put, which means you're going to have to be able to cover $155 a share in case it gets assigned to you. So that's what a weekly ATM is. I'm not going to go into a lot more detail here. I have a video on it. You really need to watch the video and understand how the trade is structured, how we make money on it, what we're looking for. But this is one that I'm looking at right now. And again, the earnings have to be out at least 6 or 8 weeks into the future, which this one is. This is February 13th. All right, so again, selling the 155 for next week, buying the January 17th 150 on the put side. Selling 155 puts, buying 150 puts. Anthony, I don't know why it would be much different than mine. Again, the spread on the options are really, really wide. So on Regeneron, it's going to jump all over the place. Now it's 60 cents. I mean, it goes 60, it goes down to 30. It's all over the place. You don't have to worry too much about it, as long as you've got the right strike prices and the right expiration dates. As long as you have 815, you bought the 815 puts and sold the 810 puts, then you're okay. What did it cost me for those, AJ? Let me look. $325. It's printing $350 right now, but I cost me $325 for that setup. You're concerned about the platform? I wouldn't worry too much about it, Anthony. The spreads are really wide. It varies from second to second how that's going to show up. All we have to do is worry about Regeneron getting down below 815. If it doesn't, then we're going to take a loss on it. If it does, we'll take a profit on it. Okay, so that hopefully that clears up the Illumina trade a little bit. But again, I'm using the 155s puts, selling next week's 155 puts, buying the January 17th 150 puts. That's how it constructed. Please watch the video that I have. If you're in the alert service or in the room, I have a video on weekly ATMs, how they work, how they're structured, etc. All right, I'm going to get some lunch. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the live feed on the YouTube. Thanks everybody for watching the YouTube live feed today. I appreciate it. Again, fairly slow day because the Fed's coming up at 2 o'clock. So market's drifting higher, just kind of in a wait and see mode. But again, I like IONQ long. I like Chewy long. And I like Tesla long. But I'll be watching these till after the Fed does their announcement, and then they have their speak. The Fed speak. All right, gonna grab some lunch and listen. Thanks everybody on the YouTube feed. I really appreciate you coming in and watching the SPY Super System setup right here. We have this system right here. It used to be called Compass. It's now called the SPY Super System. So the SPY Super System is actually a piece of software that runs the Thinkorswim that gives us our indicators to let us know whether the institutions are in the trade. And then we have a methodology called the SPY Super System, which is trading the SPYs, the Qs, and the IWM on a 5-minute chart off of the current time frame momentum, bullish or bearish, green and blue bullish, red and yellow bearish, and we make sure we enter off of a support or resistance level, which would be the VWAP, and if it's gone away from the VWAP, then we use the 15 EMA right there, that thin line. All right, that's the setup on it. All right, so thanks everybody. I'm gonna shut the YouTube feed down so that I can get a little bit of lunch, and I'll be back in just a little bit.